Complementos directos e indirectos. This is the list of direct and indirect object pronouns according to the person. So for the direct pronouns, it'd be me, te, lo, la, depending on the gender, nos, os, and los, las, according to the gender. And for indirect pronouns, it'd be me, te, le, nos, os, les. See that the direct object pronouns have lo and la for the LA, so the direct object pronouns are influenced by the gender of the noun that it is referring to. Some uses of the direct object, or the use of the direct object, is that the recipient of the action is the direct object. And using the direct object in Spanish will, or in English too, will decrease the repetitiveness in your literature and speaking. For example, instead of saying María tomó el bolígrafo, pero ahora ella no tiene el bolígrafo. That translates to Maria took the pen, but now she does not have the pen. It sounds much better to say María tomó el bolígrafo, pero ahora ella no lo tiene, which is saying Maria took the pen, but now she doesn't have it. You always put the direct object before the verb. So you put lo tiene. You never put tiene lo. And the gender and plurality of the direct object depends on the noun. So in this example, lo is replacing el bolígrafo, which is a masculine verb, and it is, or a masculine noun, and it is singular. So you just put lo. If it was los bolígrafos, you would put los tienes. And if it was la pintura, then it would be no la tiene, and so forth. The uses of the direct object. Direct object or indirect objects replace someone or something that is affected by the action. For example, in the sentence, Claudia quería el cuaderno. José da el cuaderno a Claudia. Claudia is being affected by the action. So Claudia is the indirect object. And instead of saying Claudia twice in two sentences that are back to back, it's more efficient to say Claudia quería el cuaderno. José le da el cuaderno. And you always put the indirect object before the verb, just like the direct object. And there's no gender, so indirect objects always just go me, te, le, nos, os, or les. They're complementos dobles. In sentences where you have both a direct and indirect object, you use both the direct and indirect object. But there's a rule that goes never lay low in español. So, and also the indirect object always comes before the direct object. But because of this rule, you can never say lay low, lay la, lay los, lay las, less low, less la, less los, or less las. And instead of saying those, you replace the indirect object with say. And there's no seis, it's just always say. Pretty simple rule. And so this is just an example of complementos dobles where you have both an indirect and direct object in one sentence. So instead of saying Claudia quería el cuaderno, José da el cuaderno a Claudia. It's much more efficient to say Claudia quería el cuaderno, José se lo da. Notice that there is say instead of lay. When you try to make a sentence with an indirect and direct object negative, if there is an infinitive, when pronouns are attached to infinitives, you have to put an accent on the last syllable. Other than that, if it's just regular conjugated verb and not an infinitive, you just put the no before. Yep. An accent is needed on the penultimate syllable when the indirect object and direct object are put on the end of the infinitive. If there's only one syllable, you stress that one as well. And that's just to and this is just to keep the verb sounding as it is. Gustar and verbs like gustar are special. You're pretty much saying, okay, so in this sentence, a mí me gusta la papa, the literal translation means, to me the potato pleases me. But actually, they're just saying that I like potatoes. And that's just the way you say I like something in Spanish. And it uses the indirect object because the potatoes are pleasing you. So you're receiving the action, or you are being affected by the action. And then also the plurality of the verb depends on the noun that it's referring to, or what pleases you. So instead of saying a mí me gusta la papa, it turns into a mí me gustan las papas if you want to say more than one potatoes. These are just a list of important verbs that are similar to gustar. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.